All right, we're back in Studio K with Nightmarket. How are y'all feeling coming off of that performance?
We're feeling good.
Exhilarated.
Sweet. First off, do y'all want to just introduce yourselves, names and instruments?
Yeah, my name is Andre, and I play the bass for Nightmarket.
I'm Benin. I play the drums.
So I think you guys are the first two-piece band that's been on, at least while I've had this position. This has always been a two-piece group.
Actually, no. We started with a three-piece, and then due to extenuating circumstances, it became a two-piece. And we've been perpetually looking for guitars, honestly, but we've kind of paved our own path along the way, because we wanted to play something. We came to this conclusion after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was curious. Are there any two-piece bands that are kind of an inspiration, or it just sort of ended up this way? Or?
Okay, well, just at the top of my head, I feel like you got to mention Hella, Lightning Bolt, which is a fellow bass and drum only band. I feel like at least for me, in terms of my bass playing, those two have been pretty influential in terms of two-piece bands.
Yeah, I also really like Anton Boardman. They're a
Goated.
two-piece bass and drums. I kind of look to them as okay, how can we make this work? It's okay, these guys kind of got it. But yeah, I don't know if we haven't pulled too hard. I feel like it comes from disparate influences.
For sure. So do you want to tell us about the songs we just heard?
Yeah, those should all be, bar the last one, on our demo coming soon, in about a month or so, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of worked on stringing them all together, especially for this performance. So that was kind of 3 songs at the beginning, plus some pieces of other songs. So it's kind of a bit of a collage type of set today. So yeah.
And yeah, what can you tell us about this demo?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this because it's going to be out on cassette. Working with Texas Heart, gonna make some stuff happen. The demo have 6 songs. It'll be good. It'll be a good release. I'm excited.
Yeah. What was the process like of recording that?
The process was very DIY. We decided that we didn't want to really spend any money at all. So we just took our camcorder, and over the course of the summer, been taking the songs that we've been writing and just recording them, recording them on the video, ripping it to MP3, listening back, not very much the way of mixing and mastering, but
sweet. Pretty lo-fi.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And in terms of the mic, we kind of settled on the camcorder after many different mic setups. We had to move the mic around the room and stuff, and tried our phones, and kind of,
very robust.
Yeah, not super robust, but definitely took some trial and error to get it to sound the way we wanted. But
yeah, I'm happy with how it sounds.
Yeah, I think it should be
Encapsulate
us. Yes, good way to put it.
Excited for that. And so you all have been a band for about a year now, is that right?
I think 2.5.
But we haven't played shows.
Yeah, so we only started playing shows just about a year ago now. But we've been practicing for a bit longer than that.
Okay. So what have those shows been like over the past year?
Our first show was probably our most formative in terms of because we've been kind of jamming around but not really committed to anything. But once we got added to the bill, we're okay, we actually were playing in front of people. So we made a whole new set list in 2 weeks, wrote as fast as we could. And that kind of changed our sound permanently. But yeah, over the course of these shows, it's been pretty fun seeing how the audience takes to our deal. And yeah, I feel it's always a good time.
Yeah, I've also really enjoyed about our shows. Just we kind of have some more free-form parts that we kind of it's almost like improv. We sort of come up with some certain parts on the spot. So I guess every show is kind of something new, and yeah, that's kind of one of my favorite parts about playing shows, just making something new from like what we already have.
Yeah, and there's also not too many like straight noise rock bands. So it's always fun to get added to like mixed bills and like, like sit around for like maybe something more indie, or then like it's our turn to play and it kind of changes the vibe. But it's always fun.
Uh-huh. So it sounds like when this band formed, you guys maybe didn't have this exact sound in mind. Like, can you tell us about how that kind of
Yeah, definitely
evolved?
not at all. I mean, we had like a guitarist with us, and it was kind of like our first, like all of our first times playing in like a traditional band sense, so like guitar, bass, and drums. So yeah, we definitely like experimented with a lot of different sounds. But then once we parted ways with our guitarist, we kind of really tried to find a way to make like just bass and drums work, because that's like what we had done up to that point. So that's kind of how we settled on our sound. Like after a while, just kind of working with what we had, I guess.
Yeah, but up until our first show, it was like purely just like straight jamming. Like we weren't very intentional with what we were doing, and then we kind of like locked in, and now we're like an actual band.
Yeah, so I was curious about like the songwriting process too. Like you said, some parts are improvised, some parts are structured. Like, how do you go about writing those songs?
Usually, the improv and the actual songs are written differently. For the improv, it's mostly like having a motif and then having a couple synchronized parts, or like have a rough idea of where we want the song to go. And this is something that happens over the course of like shows and practices. It always kind of changes based on how you're feeling. Like maybe I want this part to be shorter. Like we kind of like let's extend this part and whatnot. But as for like songs, usually it's just done on the spot during our practices. It's very like we'll just like sit around, bring in like maybe one idea, maybe just like something we're inspired by, or like, oh, we should do something like this. And then, since we're not the traditional setup, it kind of the input turns differently, it outputs differently. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not really that much to add, but yeah, kind of like he was saying, I feel like we don't really, or at least me, like I don't often go into practices with like like a pocket full of riffs or anything, but yeah, I feel like a lot of it just we come up with on the spot, or just like, oh, like let's explore this idea. And I feel like just like the kind of limitations of like our setup kind of build or kind of help us like narrow down our songwriting and kind of build toward our vision. So
Cool. Yeah, I'm always interested in kind of people's like individual music journeys. And could you tell us about like what was the first sort of music you got into, and how did that kind of evolve into the stuff you're listening to and playing now?
well, I guess I'll start. I feel like in terms of my music listening journey, up until probably like 8th grade or like high school, I really did not like listen to music like at all. Pretty much, I listened to like what my parents listened to, but yeah, I just wasn't that big of a fan of music. But I feel like right before COVID hit, I kind of like started exploring some stuff. I got into like kind of the almost like I guess entry level is kind of weird to call them that, but like bands like Gorillaz and like Radiohead, just more like popular bands. I feel like kind of got me into just like music in general. I feel, but then kind of once COVID hit, I feel like I started really delving deep or like deeper into the things I was interested in, and kind of trying to find like a wide breadth. So I basically just like listened to any genre I could find, like as many new genres as I could find, to try to like cast a wide net or whatever. But yeah, that was kind of my music listening journey. I feel like once COVID hit, I just kind of started going wild, I guess, and just trying to find the weirdest music that I could. So
Yeah, my music journey started probably middle school. The first real kind of music that gravitated towards me was like the fastest rappers. Like that's the subgenre. I was like super steeped in like, okay, this is how many BPM they're going. Like, is it like it was really like power scaling, but I was super into like Khan, like JID, Eminem. And then in high school, I got really into like lo-fi hip hop. And I was super into lo-fi hip hop.
Dope.
And then COVID hit. And yeah, similar story. I was kind of like using the internet to find new music. I stumbled across Death Grips, which I feel like expanded my mind in terms of like what I could find enjoyment in like terms of like abrasiveness. I feel like that set the foundation for like me getting to like weirder stuff or like more crazy stuff. But yeah, like maybe like the last couple years I've been really into like emo and post-hardcore. That's kind of the rabbit hole I've been down. Yeah, but there's like also a slew of other things. Wide net. Yeah.
And how long have you guys been playing your instruments then?
I did band, like percussion, all
Sweet.
throughout elementary, middle, and high school, and like marching band too. But I never actually like played drums until I graduated, so like a couple years. So, yeah. We started the same time.
Yeah, like you said, I feel like we kind of started our instruments like formally at the same time. So I've probably been playing bass for like 2.5, like 3 years ish. But I also was in band in elementary school, like middle school, high school, and I played trombone, which I guess like
Sweet.
kind of similar.
Bass.
Yeah.
It's also a bass instrument. But yeah, that was kind of my music playing journey.
Sweet. And I was wondering, where did the name Nightmarket come from?
Okay, so yes, I'm actually wearing the shirt. So basically, when we were a three-piece, we would like decided to start a band, and we were just thinking like, what should we name our band? So all three of us came up with just like a random name. Like we had to narrow down. Like each of us got one entry, and then we put it on Instagram, like an Instagram poll on each of our accounts, like what band name sounds the coolest. So I don't really remember what the other band names were. I don't know if you do, but Nightmarket was the band name that I picked actually, so my name won. But
Congrats.
I got it from the name of a burial song.
Essential.
So yeah, that's where it came from. Anything to add?
No.
Sweet. And yeah, we touched on this a little bit earlier because you guys mentioned you're kind of one of the only like straight up noise rock bands in the cities. But I'm curious what you think about like the scene in Minneapolis and like what kind of makes us unique, what you like, maybe don't like about it.
Yeah, I feel like Bennon's definitely a little more into this scene than I am, or just like he's been to more shows. I feel like, yeah. But just for my 2 cents, I really like the scene in Minneapolis. I feel like there's a lot. I'm kind of surprised at even like hearing people that come from different cities. Even they like have spoken a lot about just like how Minneapolis has a great scene. There's a lot of cool venues, a lot of great bands around here. And I feel like you can really find just like any sort of music if you really look hard enough. So I am very glad that we kind of broke into it, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have to agree. But also, we're not the only straight noise rock bands. I feel like there's been a little bit of a push towards the noise rock, the burgeoning noise rock scene, like Basement Dwellers, Hairless Twin, us, to name a few. There's more, but it's on the come up. Trust me.
For sure.
Yeah, Minneapolis scene. I think it's very diverse. You could like be any type of person and like find like a thing. Like I feel like there's like a lot of different like age groups making bands, playing shows, lots of different sounds, styles, and genres. Yeah, I approve.
And then one question we like to ask everyone who comes in here is if Nightmarket can play a dream bill, y'all can pick like the other bands, like the venue. What is that going to look like? You can each pick like one or two bands or artists.
Okay. I've thought about this. So if we're on the bill, we'll go first. Second on the bill, we'll have Sleepy Time Trio. I feel like they're a
Goated.
band that is so... I feel like you can hear it in the like recordings, how like hard they're playing, and like how much energy is just like bursting at the seams. So I feel like that's just like a band that I have to witness live.
Yeah.
They're playing nowadays too.
I was going to say, didn't they just reunite?
Yeah, in Chicago. There's a show in Chicago. I'm debating, but third on the bill, Rockets Red Glare. They're this
Goated.
two.
That's a good
they're
poll.
this like early 2000s like Canadian post rock. It's so good. It's like right on the cusp of like post hardcore, post rock. It's just so perfect. And I need to see it live, so.
That's sweet.
Oh, venue, I'll say like my house. I feel like a basement. Any basement, that would be the vibe. It's like I want it to be like really hot and like uncomfortable. I'm there like purely for the music.
For sure.
Yeah, for me, I haven't thought quite so hard about it, so I'm just gonna go off the dome. I also agree that we're playing first. I feel like we're maybe not on the level of some of my favorite bands of all time, but next up we have, I'll say, Don Caballero. I feel like that's
Essential.
definitely essential. Yeah, some cool math rock stuff, and I really wish I could have seen them when they had.
What era?
What era? I'll say American Dawn era. That's my favorite lineup of them and kind of favorite sound of them. Next, I'd probably say like maybe Prime Seisha time. They're
Nice.
definitely, I mean, it's kind of like one of the more popular screamo, like post-hardcore type bands, but they're popular for a reason. I feel like seeing them in their prime would be something magical. And anything else? I might slip in something a little bit departure from our sound. I feel like I would pick a project I've been listening to a lot recently called Cellar. It's like a drone sort of ambient sound. I feel like that would be an interesting thing to just throw into the bill, and I've always wanted to see them live. They don't play very often, but they have some of the best textures I've ever heard, so maybe throw in a interesting pick like that. And then in terms of venue, I would agree with basement, but I'll also throw in maybe living room. We played a living room set not too long ago. I thought that was a very cool vibe. Yeah, that's just playing next to the TV and the couches on the carpet. That's definitely a cool vibe. So
Awesome. It's a very Minneapolis coded show.
Yeah.
Sweet. And then, yeah, just a final question is if you have shows coming up, other announcements you want the people to know about before we go?
Yeah, we have a show on the 13th of November with Basement Dwellers. It's their release show for their
Dope.
EP. It should be fun, stacked bill. You might have another show in the coming weeks as well. That's yet to be finalized. But yeah, we also have the demo. Feel free to check it out when it comes. Cassettes, physicals. That should be exciting. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming in, y'all. It's been super fun. You've been listening to
Thank you.
Nightmarket on Radio K, Real College Radio.